So we're going to work from our dark to our light first. And so I'm going to come over here with my palette knife and I'm going to work with my orange color. And I'm going to take a little bit of white first and I'm going to kind of push a little bit of white off to the side because I need to have a light orange eventually. I'm going to start with white and fade to a very light orange. Well, to do that, I need to kind of pre-mix myself a light orange. So I'm going to take a little bit of this, just a little bit, right? And I'm going to mash, smash, and bulldoze. All right, I'm scraping, I'm smashing, and I'm kind of bulldozing so that if I bulldoze, my paint will stay in a pile. And if my paint stays in a pile, it will not dry out as fast as if it's all spread out everywhere. And when the blowers and air kicks on in here, it's definitely gonna start to dry out, okay? So here I have a very light value. I'm wiping off my, my palette knife, right? Fold it in on itself so it doesn't get me or the table gross. I'm then gonna come over here and I'm gonna do the same thing but with a darkening agent of some kind. I can darken my orange a little bit. I'm gonna darken it first with some brown and then see where I can go with black. Black into yellow and black into some kinds of oranges sometimes distort them just a little bit. So I'm gonna take a little bit of my orange and put it over here. Take a little bit more here. There we go, wipe off some of that. Wipe off our palette. Okay, and now I'm going to take a little bit of the brown and start mashing over here. See what kind of dark I'm starting to get. Again, I'm bulldoze. Okay, it's not changing too much, so I think I'm going to come over here and grab a little bit more of my black. I'm going to dabble into here. Black is super powerful, takes over sometimes and gets too rich and too dark too fast, so be careful to take a small amount of it. Okay, so now I've got this really nice kind of dark brown going on. All right, that's a nice brown. Put it in a pile. All right. So now I'm ready to like start putting paint on paper. So I've pre-done some values. Why is this important? Because if I have to stop and try to stir up my paint while I'm already painting, this is gonna start to dry out before I get done mixing and I wanna start blending them together, and they won't blend if they're all just sticky and dry, okay? So I'm gonna start over here with my whites. Gonna grab some white. I'm using sort of a smaller brush here. I'm gonna grab some of my white. And I'm gonna start with the light side. If you lay down your brush and drag, by dragging, you can get yourself sort of a nice outline. I'm gonna lay down and drag this way, lay down and drag this way. So now I've started to get sort of a nice coating of white on here, and I went beyond where I want it to go. Let's look back over here. That's sort of my goal. All right, so I'm going beyond where I wanted my white to actually be. That's because I'm gonna come over here and grab some of the peachy colored acrylic, and I want to start putting some of it on and working it in. Okay, again, I'm going a little bit past where I want the peachiness to be too. But this allows me to kind of start, look at that, blending some of those in. I can use a little bit of my paper towel to kind of dry off some of my paint from my brush. I'm gonna put a little bit more on here, get a little bit more. All right, and then I'm gonna start to work a little bit of actual orange into this. So let's start to get some orange going. Dragon. Okay, so I want this to kind of blend a little bit. So to blend a little bit, I'm going to get rid of some of my brush and I'm going to just kind of fuzz between these two a little bit. Look how I'm kind of fuzzing. And you can kind of come back over here with some of your white and fuzz a little bit into it this way. All right, so we're starting to fuzz a little bit into it. I'm gonna come up here with some more of my white. I'm gonna dry off my brush a little bit. This is called dry brushing, with my brush being dry, and I'm making some wispies. All right, so we have our lighter to darker to more orange. Now I'm back up into the orange section, all right? So I might change over to a different brush, a drier brush. So I'm gonna put in my true orange at this point, re-wet my orange section, get it nice and moist so that I can then come back by pulling in some of my browns, right? So I'll put some browns up here. Here we go. I'm gonna wipe off some of my brush, get some of the excess off of there so I can start to kind of fuzz a little bit between these two. So here we go. Okay. We start to fuzz a little bit there. I'm gonna pull in a little bit more dark up here. Here's more darks, darker brown. Fuzz it, fuzz it. All right, this gets it kind of fuzzing. If you find that your brush is getting sticky, this is stuff called gel medium. And the gel medium is basically acrylic paint that's a little thinned down and it doesn't have any color in it. So I'm gonna come over here and squeeze a little bit, just a tiny little bit, a drop or two on my palette, literally just a drop or two. I'm gonna put my brush into there and it's gonna thin the paint out a little bit more so that I could kind of smooth things out a little bit and they'll blend a little bit more easily and thin out without getting too gloppy. So again, I'm just barely using just a tiny little bit of that just to help the paint extend. Thins out the paint just a little bit. So I'm coming back in with a little orange, kind of doing the same thing, the opposite direction. Look at that. Okay, so we have our dark to light blend. The next video is gonna show us how we're gonna kind of blend between our two colors, which are the orange and the yellow, just to kind of blend between two.